Welcome back, everyone. I'm David Asman, sitting in for Lou Dobbs. Attorney General William Barr now looking into an intelligence assessment, finding that Russia wanted Trump to win the presidency. The review will reportedly look at disagreements among the intel analysts and whether the findings were motivated by political opposition to Mr. Trump. Well, President Trump today accusing the New York Times of providing false stories about his administration to the FBI, tweeting out, "Just revealed that the failing and desperate New York Times was feeding false stories about me and those associated with me to the FBI. This shows the kind of unprecedented hatred I have been putting up with for years with this crooked newspaper. Is what they have done legal?" Joining me now, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, which uncovered these shocking emails. So, Tom, surprise, surprise, the anti-Trump forces in the FBI were colluding with the New York Times. What do you make of it?
Well, you know, the emails speak for themselves. I know the New York Times is trying to defend itself today, saying they were just doing journalism. It's an email to the spokesman for the Justice Department from a New York Times reporter describing a story that his colleagues are working on about Jared Kushner in Russia, a story that we know was planted to make Donald Trump look bad and suggest nefarious activities, none of which have panned out, of course. The reporter wasn't asking for a comment. He sent the information along. And so, you know, that seemed unusual. And there's a second email where the New York Times is willing to give the FBI leadership a heads up, a preview on a story. So, you know, if that's journalism, I think Americans would be upset about it because it looks like the media is working with the FBI on getting Trump. And, well, you know, and the documents
by the way,
are what
we should mention it wasn't the entire FBI. Obviously, these are the anti-Trump forces in the FBI who were using their position to coddle up and get stuff out that they knew the press was hungry for, because the press hates Trump or has hated him from the beginning. So they knew it was a receptive audience. Yeah,
and you put it in the context of illegal leaks to the New York Times and the Washington Post, the classified information concerning Russia, the anti-Trump animus. You know, this material came from the cache of documents of Strzok Page emails.
Yeah.
So this is further documentation also that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were in the center of the Russia investigation by the FBI and DOJ, and was also involved in media relations as well.
And by the way, we should mention once again, as Congressman Nunes has recently, that in October of 2016, Christopher Steele, the guy behind the Trump dossier, met with a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State he came out with information that even though she obviously was not pro-Trump, said was completely false information, like there was a Miami division of the Russian consulate, which doesn't exist. So she passed that information on to the FBI, and the FBI still went ahead full throttle with Chris Steele and using his so-called documentation, which she told him was bad, for their FISA warrants.
You know, and none of that stopped the State Department from other documents we have with continuing to collude with Steele and sending his information along also to the top leadership of the House Democratic Party, Steny Hoyer's office.
Yeah. Now,
you know, and again, going back to your first story, you betcha Barr needs to look at that hit job IC assessment on President Trump. Look. No one knew President Trump was going to win. I don't even know if President Trump knew he was going to win. The idea the Russians, quote, wanted him to win is absurd. They thought Hillary Clinton was going to win, and it looked like their activity was designed to put Hillary Clinton back on her heels as she entered the presidency. The suggestion otherwise, to me, was politics designed to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump's election. And you can look at the IC assessment yourselves. It's publicly available, and you'll see it's as much of a weak tea argument against Trump as the Mueller report. Just IC, intelligence, deep state garbage targeting Trump, created by the Obama gang.
By the way, I'm wondering how much of what Attorney General Barr is uncovering and will uncover will discredit portions of the Mueller report, or at least discredit his inability or unwillingness to look into what was going on, the anti-Trump forces within the FBI?
The received wisdom, even about Russia interference in the election designed to help President Trump, can't be taken at face value. He's got to look at everything that everyone assumes is true. There was never collusion. It's not even clear the Russians were trying to help Trump. They may have well been trying to help Clinton or keep her back on her heels with no idea that Trump was going to win.
By the way, I just want to get your assessment of something. The president today was interviewed. It's going to be shown on Sunday on Meet the Press. But he talked about the whole push for impeachment and Nancy Pelosi's unwillingness to go that route, at least now. Let me just play the soundbite and get your reaction.
Why do you think Nancy Pelosi has held off her impeachment caucus?
Because I think she feels that I will win much easier. I mean, I've been told that by
Do you think impeachment's good politics for you?
I think I win the election easier, but, you know, I'm not sure that I like having it. Look, I did nothing wrong. I was spied on. What they did to me was illegal. It was illegal on the other side. I did nothing wrong. So impeachment's a very unfair thing because nothing that I did was wrong.
You know, I can understand the president. On one hand, politically, it might actually help him, but it is a stain. Nobody wants that stain, particularly if it's totally undeserved.
Well, that's exactly right. And the president obviously is concerned that the coup cabal will continue with an impeachment fight. Even if they lose or even if he wins, it's an abuse of power by Congress even talking about it. There's no collusion, no obstruction, no great case for impeachment. And Nancy Pelosi, I think, said something sensible the other day, based on my understanding. She said, look, you know, impeachment is something that's obvious. There's something out there that obviously someone needs to be impeached for. And the idea that the House is going to hunt around to make a case that isn't apparent to anyone else in the country, Nancy Pelosi is a sophisticated enough politician to know that won't wash.
Yeah. Tom Fitton, great to see you, Tom. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.